Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the TechShield edition of the Sarona podcast. And today I'm extremely honored to have a very special guest, Eyal Waldman, which is a seasoned entrepreneur, investor, and so much more. Eyal, thank you so much for your time and welcome.
Thank you, Tut.
So I think we can just kick off with a quick introduction. I know you have a lot to tell and the long history, but I'll let you choose which one you share and which one you leave behind.
So I was born in Israel. I studied both in Rehovot and high school in Jerusalem. In between, I've been in Scotland for like 2 years when my mom did her postdoc there. Then I joined Golani, which is one of the infantry units here. Served for 4 years and something. I was an officer and was participating in the Lebanon War. Then went to study in the Technion, did first and second degree, joined Intel for 3.5 years, started Galileo Technology, and we went public. We started in 93, went public in 97 for $250 million, and then Galileo was sold to Marvell for $2.7 billion. About 2000. In 99, I started Mellanox Technologies, was the CEO for 21 years. Took it public in 2007 for $550 million. And then it was sold to NVIDIA in 2020 for about $7 billion. And now at Waldo Holdings, we have our own family office and managing our family estate.
Wow. So you're an entrepreneur and a very successful one. And also you've been very active across the Israeli tech ecosystem for many years and still are. Can you share with me and with our listeners a bit about your attachment to the Israeli ecosystem? You know, because there are entrepreneurs that are building companies out of Israel, but then they don't think of themselves as integral part of the Israeli tech scene or the Israeli society or the Israeli country per se. And I think you're a bit different on that front. And I would love to hear what do you feel your attachment to Israel, and what do you feel is the responsibility that you have as an Israeli entrepreneur towards the country?
Well, first, I think we were born here. We fought to have an independent, democratic, liberal Jewish country. And I lost some relatives. I lost friends. And they gave their life so we can live here and build significant lives for us in Israel, in the Jewish state. And it means a lot to me that so many have given their lives so that we can live here. With that commitment, everything that I've done since was really to build and contribute to the strength, to the economy, to the security of Israel in many ways, building one of the largest technology companies, and today definitely the largest in terms of revenue. It was public that Mellanox revenues in 23 was about $13 billion and growing, and I think it was slightly more than that. So you have a responsibility to lead the way, to be a lighthouse for other CEOs, for other companies. So what we've done at Mellanox, first about 10 to 12% of our employees were Israeli Arabs. We've integrated Haredim, this is the Orthodox Jews. We've integrated Druze, Cherkessim, I don't know how I said in English, into Mellanox Turks. And we have, for example, celebrated Eid al-Adha, Christmas, and New Year's, the Jewish New Year's, all with kosher food. So all of our religions and all people can come and celebrate together the holidays of the three religions that we have here in Israel. Obviously, around the world, we had many more religions that employees had and practiced, but this was in Israel, the main religions in Israel. So you have the responsibility not just to think on the profits and the success of the company, but you want to integrate, you want to contribute to the economy, to the strength of Israel, and that's what we've done at Mellanox with very diversified set of donations, of contributions around the country. From the north, Tel Hai, we had a design center, to through Yokneam, Ra'anana, Tel Aviv, Kiryat Gat, Be'er Sheva, Jerusalem, and then we also had four design centers with the Palestinian territories. So we've really tried to make an impact, to make a change, to influence what was going on around us, every place, every location we were there. And on top of that, we're an international company. We had, I think, locations in about more than 17 countries. We produced in about 21, and we sold to a lot of countries. Every place that we had a design team that was significant, or a team that was significant, we've also done contributions there to the society, to the community, because we thought it's part of being a global company.
So what do you think is the role of innovation and business in bridging peace and bridging societies? And
I think, it's very important. We opened a design center in Ramallah, in Rawabi, in Hebron, Nablus, and we also had a design center until October 7, also in Gaza. And you've seen that the positive friction. First, let's build, the relationship when it's built out of fear, and there's fear involved between, I'll talk about the Palestinian and Israelis, where there's field involved. You see walls being built, and people are afraid to communicate, to visit, to have good communication with each other. When you take down those walls of fear, you start seeing positive friction. So we had employees in the Palestinian side and the Israeli side. Initially, they were hesitant to talk to each other. And then you build positive friction through work, through conversations, through humor, jokes, interest, soccer, sports, and so on, families, kids, and so on. You start seeing relations being built between the Palestinian and Israelis of better trust, of more reliance on each other. And this really helped create a bridge between the Palestinian people and the Israeli people. And I think in the future, when you build synergistic economic relationship or business relationship, you can really make a difference in terms of positive communications, positive relationships between the two people, and it does make an impact.
Did you also have situations where things didn't work out, where you saw the different societies clashing and maybe also impacted the way that they work?
Yeah, we had extreme people with both sides, both on the Arab side and the Jewish side. And they have, in some instances, tried to harm or not enable this work relationship to exist. But I was very firm, and I didn't let anything like that deter me or us from getting to employ Palestinians and treating them exactly like all other employees. We give our Palestinian employees equity, bonuses, vacations, fun days, and so on. So it was very important to me that everybody's equal throughout the company.
Do you think that amongst the Palestinian community, maybe it's a bit hypocritical that you're speaking about this and not directly asking someone from the Palestinian community, but do you think that amongst the Palestinian community there is more fear and hate, or there is more hope and willingness?
I think there's a lot of fear amongst the Palestinian people, and I think they're entangled with themselves. I believe that until today, they did not want to do peace. The current situation of corruption with the Palestinian leadership, both economic and political, made it way more significant, beneficial for them, for the leaders, that the current situation the current status quo being maintained of friction between the Palestinians and the Israelis. And they've made a lot of money through funds being directed to the Palestinians from Arab states, from Europe, from the US, taking a lot to their pockets. I think now, when we are finally understand what we need to do in terms of eliminating Hamas, eliminating Islamic Jihad, eliminating terror pockets within the West Bank, going into Jenin, going into Birzeit, going into the other universities that we have in the West Bank, which is very important to clean them from terror pockets. And we're successful in doing this. Najah, Jenin University, and so on. I think they now may understand they want to have peace. And it's our job, it's our task to make it very clear to them that if they don't want to have peace, their lives will be miserable. Their lives will be very difficult. And I hope that they get the message, and now they will want to come to have peace. Until now, we were the ones trying to come with peace agreements, trying to come with peace initiatives, and time after time after time, I and we have been rejected with peace initiatives we came with. I think when we look at the day after, in terms of democratic elections, until now we were worried about Hamas being elected and so on, and stuff like this. I think in the future, what we should be able to say, we have a veto right to say who cannot. We can mandate who cannot participate in democratic elections on the Palestinian side. But anyone that we don't object, we don't put veto on, can participate in the elections, and they should elect their leadership. And in terms of what's going on now in Gaza, for example, I think we need first to release the hostages. That's our number one priority, get the hostages back home. Number two is eliminate Hamas and Jihad Islamic completely. And we're working on this, and this is a number two job that we need to do and go after them wherever they are in the world. And I think there's 2 units that's been built to eliminate Hamas and anyone associated with them. And number 3, bring in an Arab coalition led maybe by Egypt and Saudi, but mainly by Egypt, and to govern and mandate that there's no long-distance capabilities in terms of rockets, in terms of artillery within Gaza, and everything that exists there is taken out into Sinai to being buried. And the second mandate that this coalition has with the Arab League, the US and Europe, is education, to bring maybe the Emiratis education into Gaza, build a local, temporal, technocrat government by the 6-7 strong families in Gaza to manage the internal stuff, and then have IDF retreat back to Israel lines, make a 1 kilometer line that anyone gets close to the fence is being shot, no questions asked, and slowly rebuild Gaza by UNDP, which will take probably 2 to 4 years, and then start really looking at the relationship, the long-term relationship between the Palestinians and Israelis. I hope that after, let's say, 3-4 years of this mandate, the Palestinian Authority, which needs to replace its leadership, will also take control of Gaza, not just the West Bank. So there will be one entity controlling and managing the Palestinians on the West Bank and in Gaza. And I hope also in Israel will change the leadership here and eventually will be able to go live in a peaceful way, in a synergistic way between the Palestinian and the Israeli people. But if you look at what happened after 1973, the Yom Kippur War, the Yom Kippur crisis, where Egypt was our number one enemy, 7 years later, no one believed we can do peace with Egypt. One guy that the Egyptians did not support, the Israelis did not trust, but Sadat, the president of Egypt, asked to come and talk to the parliament. And Begin, our prime minister, even though he did not trust him, enabled him to come and speak in the parliament. And one guy did peace between the 2 largest enemies, the number one enemies from 73, Egypt and Israel. We had peace in 1977. I hope that now, in the next 3-4 years, we'll be able to have leaders either on one side or both sides, that will start talking to each other, will start rebuilding the capability of building peace agreements between the Palestinians and Israelis, and maybe out of this crisis in 2027, we'll be able to have peace between the Palestinians and Israelis.
I salute to that. However, within Israel, we have quite a lot of internal issues too, between the different societies, and it was very apparent prior to October 7th. And one may argue that it was one of the reasons why October 7th actually took place specifically then. What do you see in the Israeli society, the challenges? Also, what do you think would be the way to solve it? And in a side note, what is the role of tech and the tech ecosystem in Israel, which is a significant part of the Israeli society, in the journey to make amends and make peace between the different groups within the Jewish culture, the Jewish society in Israel?
So first, I think we should set the numbers right. I think you said tech is a significant part with Israeli society. I don't think it's right. I think the high tech is about 40% of our export. It's about 40% of our economy in terms of looking at influence. I think people involved, it's about only 20% of the social people that are involved in high tech. Still, because of its very significant economic contribution, I think it has a very big role in influencing the future of Israel. So first, I think we need to change the government. The current government that we have is controlled by extreme right parties that have, due to our coalition system, a lot of force and power on all decisions that are being made in the government. So we need first to change the government. After we do this, we need to look and plan on the demographic growth of the societies within Israel, talking about the Jewish Orthodox, talking about the Arabs within Israel, and integrating them both into all of the duties that we have, whether it's economic, employed-related, whether it's defense, serving in our army. We need to fix some of those things, and it's now on the table of the government. And then we can reshape and build the workforce within Israel to be significantly better, to be significantly bigger, and be able to grow faster everything we're doing today.
When looking from the outside, as an Israeli that is traveling a lot, and I bet that you too, reading about the global anti-Semitism and the impact that it has on Jewish communities around the world is painful to the extent, unbearable extent. What do you think is our way as Israelis, as Jewish, to combat this rising anti-Semitism that is generational? The younger generation sees Israel lower than the older generation, and that means it's going to get worse.
It's going to get worse if we don't fix a number of things. I think if we fix a number of things, and we will be successful in building the right relationships between the Palestinians and Israel, between the further Arab countries like Saudi, like Indonesia and other, with Israel, and also with Turkey, I think this will change. If you look at what happens in the world, people support the underdogs. And it's common, it's natural to support the underdog. And I've talked to some parliament members from European, they said, you never seem to be the underdog, the Israel. You always seem to be the strong, the dominant side of the conflict. And this is why we're seeing a lot of empathy to what's going on with the Palestinians and so on. And then I thought about it, and she told me, why don't you present yourself as the underdog, as the one being attacked, as the one being murdered and so on in this conflict between the Palestinians? And I said, it's not there's two main reasons that I think Israel does not do that. Number one is the Holocaust. We came out of the Holocaust where we were like sheep that is taken into the murder fields, into the burning cremators and other places. So this is in our blood. We cannot be weak. We cannot pretend to be weak. It comes from the Holocaust. The second thing, in our neighborhood, in the Middle East, you cannot be weak, because if you're weak, immediately someone else comes in and control and uses force, and a lot of force here in the Middle East, like we've seen a trial in October 7, to try and conquer and take over what you have done before. So we cannot be the underdog, and I see this as a part of the things. But I think if we come out of this crisis and we do build the right relationships and we do start treating our neighbors with respect, with equal levels, equal rights, equal duties, and so on, I think those anti-Semitism emotions or movements that we're seeing now will be reduced significantly to only very extreme pinpoint communities that will still exist. So I think we need first to do what we need to do in terms of eliminating Hamas and making sure that both sides, both on the south in Hamas and in the north, which we haven't talked about, Hezbollah, we take them up north, maybe to the Litani, 40 kilometers from the border. I think we've moved them from the fence of the border now to 5 to 10 kilometers from the fence. After we do this and we clear the West Bank of terror pockets, we can then start to rebuild the relationships between the two people. I think once we have built the relationships, and we will have normalization with Saudi, and we will have normalizations with all of the Muslim countries, this anti-Semitism will be reduced to minimal.
So you think that people would actually change their minds? All of those young generation in Harvard and the universities across the United States primarily, but not only, they are now building their set of beliefs, their set of opinions. And it's very hard to change the mindset of someone that is already very, very determined on their opinion. So you think they would actually change their mind, or it would just be inappropriate anymore to speak badly about Israel because the macroeconomic climate would not support their opinion?
I think it's a matter of education. I think today what people are seeing in the news, in their televisions, in their social media, they're seeing what's happening in Gaza, which is very hard. We as Israelis, we have no intention of hurting innocent people. We have no intentions of hurting civilians. We are only looking after Hamas and Hamas-associated people, and those are the entities we want to eliminate. We will, unfortunately, there is collateral damages. Unfortunately, Hamas uses civilians as a shield to protect themselves. And like we've seen yesterday, the operation in Shifa Hospital, we were very, very gentle. We tried and we focused on the terrorists themselves. We even did not ask to evacuate the hospital. We did pinpoint elite unit operations, trying to hit only the terrorists that were inside the hospital without hurting. And I think we're pretty successful, hurting innocent people and civilians. So we have caused a lot of damage within Gaza as a result of October 7, when they've come and murdered, raped, burned, beheaded, cut organs of people while they were alive, and so on, and been doing this for more than 1 day, probably in some pockets only for 2 days. We are now in a defense operation. This is not an offensive operation. This is a defense operations where we're protecting the state of Israel, we're protecting the citizens of Israel, and we're going in to make sure that our citizens from the south can go back to their homes, go back to their fields, and live normal lives down there. We are still reaching our hand to peace after we get all the hostages back, which is our priority number one today, and number two, eliminating Hamas and Islamic Jihad, and then we can start rebuilding the relationships between the Palestinians and Israelis. I think once we have normal relationships with our Arab neighbors, I think the anti-Semitism will also be reduced.
And I hope it's okay that I bring up a personal angle. You lost your daughter and her boyfriend in the October 7th attack in the Nova Party. How does one continue with such a big loss and continues to live, continues to push, continues to try and change, continues to do business?
I just think this is what Daniel would have wanted me to do.
Thank you for sharing this. So what do you do now after October 7th? Obviously, life are not the same, definitely for you. What do you do? How do you keep yourself busy? What are the things you're focusing on? How do you dedicate your time?
In the early stages, I've donated a lot to multiple operations in my past unit in Golani and reserves of Golani and Negos and some of the special units around us. Then I've helped in terms of medical equipment in certain places. We've also looked into helping the people that were evacuated from their homes, both in the north and the south. And we're looking into helping the orphans of the citizens and the soldiers that have been impacted since October 7th. So there's a lot we've been done on that. And I'm also pretty much involved in trying to change the government that we have here in Israel. I think it's not the right one. And I think after so many people have failed, both starting from the prime minister, to the defense minister, to the internal defense minister, to the chief of staff, the head of Shabak, the South general, the head of intelligence, and so on. From the division commander upwards up to the prime minister, all of them should go. They've really did neglect their responsibilities. They have completely failed protecting what they should have been doing, and we need to replace them. So what we're doing now is trying to look how we can change the government and then rebuild the strength and the capabilities that Israel needs to have in order to stay independent, democratic, liberal Jewish state here.
Do you want to share, are you planning to start a party, or is it too early to know?
A lot of people want me to go into politics, and for now I prefer to be in the background and supporting other people. There will be only one or two scenarios where I'll go and do things myself, but for now I'm supporting other people.
So I hear everything that you're saying, and I think it's a very complex situation. Looking at it from the outside, however, there is a lot of global movement from investors all over the world that are asking themselves, in the current situation where Israel at, which is obviously a complex situation, both democratically, societally, economically, and I think we are in a pivotal moment in the history and the future of the country. How does investors need to look at the local economy? Because you and me both, we are part of the Israeli tech ecosystem. We want to continue to see Israel thrive in terms of what we're building here and the entrepreneurship that is being nurtured here. We need capital for this. And I can understand global investors that are concerned, what's happening. what is your take on it? How do you think investors?
First, the Israeli economy is very resilient and they're robust, and we went through multiple such operations and wars. I can tell you in the past, recent history from the Second Lebanon War through the 3 operations in Gaza, every time the Israeli economy did better, increased after those operations and the Second Lebanon War. And I don't want to say flourished, but definitely was very successful. I think we're used to live where we have like an operation or a small war every so often, every 5 to 10 years. So it's something that the Israeli society, the Israeli economy is built, is resilient, and can work this way. And you've seen a lot of our employees or NVIDIA employees go to another high-tech companies employees go to reserve duties. Still, those companies are meeting their goals, are meeting their targets, and you don't see people blame the operation with not being successful. So I think we're resilient, and I think for the investors, it could actually be an opportunity to invest in such a time. If you look at the past history of Israel, we've always been successful after such an operation, and I think it will be the same here. You see flourishing businesses even today, but I think once this operation is over, even more.
Do you personally invest in Israeli tech, or at the moment you're fully invested in donations and politics?
We still invest. We're very diversified. We invest in tech, in real estate, all over the world, not just in Israel.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think will be the role of Israel, or the role that Israel should have in the new global economic order?
I think Israel should continue doing what it's done in the past, is lead with technology, lead with innovation, lead with research. We're talking about now quantum computing that's around the corner, 10 years, something like that, it's around the corner. We're talking about artificial intelligence, that there's a lot of focus. We're talking about cyber. We're talking about agriculture. We're talking about food tech, fintech. So there's a lot of opportunities here. It's a very vibrant environment and ecosystem for a lot of startups, and I think it's second to none, only to the Silicon Valley.
So what are the opportunities that you're seeing, let's say, the past, let's go detailed, the last week? What was the most interesting thing you saw in the last week?
Last week I was skiing. So I saw a lot of snow. And it was great opportunities, and it was great ski resort. But I think there's opportunities in semiconductors, in AI infrastructure, in AI higher level applications. Every place you look, whether it's financial technology, fintech, in agri-tech, in machine learning, in cyber, there's many opportunities here, and we're investing, I think, in all of them. Augmented reality, we're kind of invested in many of those areas.
What is if you agree to share, what is the last investment that you made and why?
I think the last investment that we've made, it's actually like a follow-on cycle in AR51. That's an augmented reality company, still very small and young, that's developing augmented reality technology that you can in real time broadcast 3D, whether it's basketball plays or football or even concerts, but you will be able to see in your home living room if the game is being played there in 3D right in front of your eyes, and have a great experience now with Apple Vision Pro or Facebook, Meta and Google, Meta and Facebook and Google, and I think also other entities will come out with maybe even better classes, better experiences for augmented reality. And I think it's a great opportunity to invest, especially when following that, not the hype that used to be, but the metaverse will eventually come out and be as part of this augmented reality. I think there's advantages and a lot of applications to invest in.
And as an investor that invests globally at the moment, do you see any differences with AI and all the cutting edge tech between Israeli newly founded companies and global newly founded companies?
No, I think it all depends on the people. If you have the right team, if you have the right people to build the company with, I don't think there's a big difference of starting a company in Israel or elsewhere. I think there's a lot of advantages doing it here because of all of the experiences that we had with hundreds of very successful companies in a very diversified set of markets, of applications, of successes. So I think there's advantage doing it here.
And we're nearing towards, I think, end of this session. I have so many more things that I would love to, speak with you, and I'm fascinated. But I want to respect your time. So if you'd agree, we can do another one at some time in the future. I want to finish with a question to you. What was the biggest, wrong decision that you've made, either as an entrepreneur or as an investor? And what was the results of this wrong decision? And then how did you fix it?
I'll tell you about it as an investor. I've invested in more than one company based on relationships without doing too in-depth due diligence. And apparently this was a mistake. And the relationship's still there, but basically the companies did not succeed. So my main lesson from that was that regardless of the relationship you have with people, you have to do very thorough due diligence. You have to do your work, no need and invest. So I've done multiple such mistakes in investing in companies as a result of relationships instead of due diligence.
They're saying business and friendship aside when it comes to investment.
Yeah, business and friendship aside, and sometimes it's better not to invest with friends or invest at friends.
Thank you so much, Eyal. Is there anything else you want to add before we conclude here and send you off to continue your day?
No, thank you very much, and looking forward to continuing other stuff.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.